Hello everybody, welcome to today's webinar. As Wedge said, my name is Susie Robinson. I'm a consultant with ClearBox Consulting and I manage our suite of reports, the latest of which we released a couple of weeks ago and is the topic of the conversation today. So for those of you who don't know who we are, ClearBox has been around for about 15 years now. We help companies of a variety of different shapes, sizes and needs, primarily with their digital workplaces, which is mostly intranets, but we do also help with SharePoint and SharePoint adjacent things and broader digital workplace needs as well, which includes employee mobile app solutions. And quite often we're asked to help with strategy and governance and all sorts of other things as well. We all have practical experience. So previously I worked for a variety of businesses that had a lot of frontline workers, which is why this is a topic that's very close to my heart. And we work in a very transparent way, which allows us to do things like this and also allows us to create our reports. And we're also vendor neutral. So all of the reports that we've written, all of the reviews we've written, any advice that we give to our clients is entirely based on our own feelings, our own thoughts, and our experience in the industry as well. So that's a little bit about us. And this is really what we're here to talk about today, our latest report. We've reviewed mobile apps for employee experience, which are mobile-first solutions that claim to address the needs of the frontline and their businesses as well. This is a free-to-download report. The link is on screen and we'll make it available afterwards as well. And I think that Wedge is going to pop it into chat too. So if you want to download it now, you're entirely welcome to. And we've reviewed 15 products, including Microsoft Teams and Yammer, as a single review. And it came out in mid-October-ish. So this is very, very new. And all of the reviews are as up-to-date of the products as they physically can be in this world of tech. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of who everybody was that got involved. So we've had people from across the digital workplace, the internal comms industry helping us with this report. And each report is written by an industry expert and then edited twice before we then pass it to our designer to make it look really lovely based on the Word document that we do first of all. And I wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody who was involved. Hopefully you can recognise a few friendly faces here amongst people who've got up and talked at other conferences and things. So we really are drawing a big pool of experience when we come to write these reviews. Before I talk about the findings in the report, I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to explain why we created it in the first place. So why have we released this report? So if we think about the nature of a frontline worker's job, it's easy to see how different their needs are compared to desk-based employees. And that makes the task of digitally serving them quite complex. So if we take a builder as an example and focus on just 3 of the factors that I've got on screen here, first of all, there are heavy machinery and vehicles that are in constant use around them, so they have to pay attention to their surroundings. 2, there are often contractors in place, so it's expensive to kit out all of those people when they aren't full-time on permanent contracts. And the third example I just want to draw on here is that they'll be on a payroll system, but not necessarily with all their personal data saved centrally. So they may not have their personal phone number or even a personal email address saved centrally. And similarly, they're probably not in Active Directory or any other central account management solution. And if they are in your business, then well done, you've got an excellent head start, so you can think about slightly more solutions. But these are very real challenges that need to be overcome by businesses with frontline workers to try and address with the correct tools for them. And this list that's on screen isn't exclusive to builders. Those that work in hospitality are time poor and they're constantly serving customers. Retail assistants may use shared devices if they have anything at all. And many front workers work on shifts, such as bus or train drivers, for example. And the ways to address these challenges is very different from the ways to address desk worker needs. And mobile-first solutions are an excellent place to help. Our report helps you to think about what your business and colleagues need and which products might be the best solution for you. I'm going to talk about some of that today to give you a bit of a head start. And if we assume then that a mobile approach is the best way to reach frontline workers, there are a lot of technology options for you to explore. Business apps are often designed to do 1 or 2 things, presenting a larger desktop-based solution on a small screen. Some are now offering more functionality thrown in, such as document libraries or communication methods. So it's important for you to consider whether it really is the right solution for your frontline teams to have one of these larger desktop-based solutions like a payroll management system or workforce management system, and not just whether it's the cost-effective approach as well, of course. Unofficial technology might be free and already being used by people across the business, such as WhatsApp or text messaging, but this is likely to be for personal purposes. Blurring the distinction between personal and professional is risky, not to mention managing access, governance, security, GDPR compliance, and many other areas that are either hard or impossible to manage with that sort of shadow technology. So return to the top of the list then. Intranets with good app solutions and employee mobile app products that are purely frontline first provide the best experience for end users and can also meet a variety of different business needs as well. These are the products that we've reviewed in our latest report, and this is what I'm going to focus on and talk about today. So this is what you'll find in each review then. There's a section at the start of each review that summarises what's best about a product and why you might choose it for your business. The ClearBox view is our review, where we critically assess the products to highlight what works well and where the areas of consideration may lie. And we've included a handy tick list of features where vendors have indicated where their product contains functionality to fulfill that particular need. You'll also find pricing, how quick the product is to install, branding opportunities, and the sectors the vendors had experience with in this summarised page next. We've also included a product focus chart that I'll come back to a little bit later. We've included plenty of highlights and screenshots in each review as well, where you'll find more detail about some of the more interesting functionality and also more critical thinking about the success or not of those features. And lastly, we have tables that summarise company and product information, which is designed to help answer some of the more pressing non-functional requirement questions that IT often pose and can be a blocker for you to progressing a project. So that was what each review contains. Now I want to take a closer look at the framework our reviewers used to assess each one of the products. To help our reviewers approach product features critically, we created a series of questions to act as a prompt. These are split into 9 areas, which convey business scenarios that people often wish to address. And while we needed to convey what a product does, it was more important that we explain how well it does those things or how effective its features are. We didn't expect products to address all of these areas, but know that businesses need to address different combinations of these scenarios. Again, I'll come back to this a little bit more in a little while when I talk about the product focus charts. So the first scenario then, we wanted to see the overall experience of using the product from an end user's perspective. For example, whether they looked good and worked well. We also wanted to see how easily the product made it is for people to get online quickly. And we also know that encouraging people to download a work app onto their personal device can be a challenge. So we wanted to see how easy that was as well. Where there are the ways for people to switch off from work, we wanted to see how effective they were. So for example, a night shift worker aren't disturbed while they're trying to sleep. And we also wanted to see how the products support different people using different device types. So I've used Blink as an example here, as it provides an excellent user experience that's reminiscent of social media. I have to call out the chat on the far right, which includes so many lovely features that I'd say it's better than a lot of the chat apps we use day to day. There's things like who's going to make the tea next and a coin flip to make a decision. The look and feel overall is contemporary, with functionality that's a lot like high-end consumer-facing apps. The navigation too is simple, yet Blink packs in a lot of features to meet a variety of needs. And there's a really handy Do Not Disturb feature, which allows people to switch off from work. This is particularly helpful for those who might work outside of traditional working hours, so they don't get disturbed while trying to sleep, so that night shift worker again, for example. And it also helps people align with those people who work in office and those people who work outside of office hours to be able to still communicate and collaborate and share things together. The second area then. Internal communicators will often rely on these apps to reach their audiences. So we wanted to see what tools were available to help them create, manage and reach users. We also explored how publishers could deliver short factual messages about operational challenges or changes, and how crisis communications are supported, such as for product recalls or weather warnings. And first up is the first example in this category that I wanted to share with you. It provides a highly sophisticated approach to meeting internal communicators' needs, so it will be quite appealing for you to go and have a look at, I'm sure. You can see that the article displays well on a small screen that's on the left there. but it's in the back end where communicators will really see a difference. Articles are created by dragging and dropping highly configurable content blocks onto a page, but then it's the orchestration engine that really comes into its own here. Publishers use it to schedule messages across device types and to reach defined audiences. When the article is published, it can either be manually scheduled, or publishers can rely on the machine learning to release separate articles to people based on their individual preferences and behaviours. So if I'd like to read things on Wednesday mornings while I'm eating my breakfast, but Wedge prefers to read things on Thursday evenings in front of the TV, then it will actually learn that and release at the right times for us individually, which is quite interesting and quite unusual as well. And I've included Sociabble as a second example here, as it's a good example of internal communications meeting social activities. Firstly, news is personalised on the homepage, and it's made up of content from external as well as internal sources. People can interact with them as you'd expect, but they can also share to personal social media accounts. And you can see points associated with certain posts in these screenshots, showing you how many points someone will earn by interacting with it or sharing on social. Sharing externally is simple, with templated and editable posts presented to whoever has chosen to share. Analytics then track what's going on in Sociabble, as well as what's happened to the post on social media as well. So in the example on screen here, you can see a join our company post is something that's got 3 times the point scores, which shows that kind of gamification approach that they've taken, and is something that obviously businesses want their own colleagues to share, so that they can then reach their own networks and encourage the people that they know potentially to work for the business. It's a really nice approach to take for something like that. So chat, social and engagement. Many app products address the need to replace unofficial or shadow technologies such as WhatsApp or Facebook for social or other engagement activities. And in this scenario, we investigated what chat or similar features are available to offer alternatives to non-company messaging services like text messaging, how the products make use of familiar formats from consumer-oriented social sites to create a space where employees are active contributors, and what is available to support businesses that wish to gather the opinions of employees through surveys, polls, employee recognition, business competitions as well, such as those around sales targets, as well as other tools as well around peopling type things. And then the example I wanted to share is from the employee app, where the newsfeed is the focus, which combines centrally issued communications with user-generated posts. And you can see the prominence the add a post option is given on the homepage, which is a really nice touch to encourage sharing. Post types can be simple, rich text-based, or could be uploaded video or even a photo taken at the time as well. It's a really simple approach that will be helpful for senior leaders making a quick post while they're on the train, so you can really encourage them to get involved, which can sometimes be a challenge. And there are simple social reactions and commenting options, as well as other examples of sharing content externally into social media where it's enabled. So with many of these things, they can either be switched on or off. So if you didn't want people to be able to share into social media, then those sorts of features can be turned off. The publisher and admin experience is also important. It's important for all users to have a good experience when they're working with a product. And we wanted to see how easy it was for administrators and publishers to manage the product as a separate experience from end users. So we explored how easy it is to control who can do what within the app, such as creating a new group or broadcasting a message to many users or possibly even the entire business. How easy, comprehensive and effective the options are for processing around building, developing or tweaking the app, such as customizing menus or static pages, and what features were offered to support admins with governance and lifecycle management as well. And Thrive provides a simple but effective approach to administration, and it gives more control over the final UX of the app than most of the products that we've reviewed. And the first two screenshots are just a couple of examples of how a page can be laid out, displaying content in a variety of ways as an admin feels is appropriate, so it's really flexible. And the tools to arrange the page content are shown on the right in the form of a simple drag and drop list. Clicking on each changes settings, like who can see that particular element, and tabs change the audience of the page and its look and feel as well. And this allows the design of the app to stay very clean and makes the management of content very easy. And it also means that one Thrive app in one business can look entirely different from another Thrive app in a completely different business. It's incredibly flexible, which is quite unusual in this space. Digital workplaces are often a fragmented set of tools. So we wanted to see how the apps help to simplify an employee's experience. And we wanted to see whether the products support out-of-the-box integration with common enterprise systems such as SharePoint, Workday, Zendesk, and all of those sorts of things, and how the apps support people completing tasks, such as completing a health and safety form or swapping shifts, or even receiving relevant notifications, whether via integrations or built-in workflows as well. Workgrid has been designed as a layer on top of an intranet or similar tool, which also works very well as an app in its own right. It was designed with the purpose of aggregating information and activities from across a disparate digital workplace, so that people can complete activities without having to care where the end system is that they're actually working with. It's split into 4 sections, where To Know gathers information such as news from the intranet, so that people don't miss anything important. To Do is where activities are presented, such as approving a time off request. Apps then displays collated information that personalised to the individual, such as remaining time off or the latest pay slip as well. And then finally, there's an Ask chatbot that integrates with business systems, such as with ServiceNow in the example here, or it can present answers to FAQs as well, which allows people to self-serve some of the more common questions across the business and help reduce some of the workload on teams like HR or IT. Locating information then can be a challenge for users. We wanted to see the approaches that they took to content findability. So we explored things like how the product supported people finding and networking, but also balancing the need for people to connect with the need for people to keep their information private as well. We wanted to see how the product supported structured browsing for those users who don't use a search to find content. Like me, I must admit I'm a bit of a browser rather than a searcher. And then also we wanted to see how the apps make it easy for people to find, access and view information, such as policies and procedures. So search in apps is an area that's delivered inconsistently across products, unfortunately. However, Unily is an example of this done quite well. So for example, there's an articles we think you'll like little section on the first screenshot there, which presents you with posts that are similar to the things that you've read, or that those things with similar, or people with similar profiles have read as well. So your colleagues have been reading these things, so maybe you should as well. And this surfaces useful or interesting topics to people without them having to go searching themselves. FAQs are a common approach to complex information, and Unily provides a nice layout and local search to help people find the right question and associated answer as well, of course. And the people search works well with a good range of profile fields, and we really liked the offline reading option where people can save things to read later, or where Unily will actually automatically save content that's important, maybe anything that's global news, for example. And this helps people keep on top of important news without having to rely on Wi-Fi to do it. And this is particularly important to frontline workers who might be out and about on the road, or maybe working somewhere where there's poor Wi-Fi access in the guts of a shopping centre, for example. So this sort of offline reading approach and similar tools is very important to them. Data then, analytics. And data about the overall usage of the app within a company is vital to understand its success and ROI. And it needs to be presented in an attractive manner that makes it easy to visualize and actionable. And this is an area that is quite often weaker among the products that we've seen. So we wanted to see what information was available to support administrators so that they can see as much information as possible to really understand who is using the app, how they're using it, and when they're accessing it as well. We also wanted to see how the apps presented detail behind the features that are being engaged with. So the results of any survey or poll, or maybe how active the chat has been as well, which is often the part that's missing. So as I say, it's another generally weaker area, but Staffbase shows how analytics can be done very well. There are some really attractive dashboards that show a good range of data, which can be easily interrogated so that an admin can work out what actions to take to improve the results. Communicators too have a good range of data to play with. On the left are the individual results for each news post. There's a dashboard approach that summarises all post information, as well as a more detailed pop-up of results, which displays well on mobile as well. But on the right are analytics relating to a comms campaign. This shows the reach and similar results for the overall campaign, as well as all the individual pieces of content underneath that are associated with that campaign umbrella. And we liked that you can trigger a mobile or email notification from here, which goes to those people who haven't seen it yet, which helps affect the reach and improve the reach, and also make sure people are seeing these important messages, particularly around those really key topics that are important to the business overall. Some products have standout features that might fit into one of our framework areas or might be something unusual. We wanted to know how the product makes use of the mobile first approach to keep these features light and lean, but still comprehensive enough to be valuable. And the examples we were shown were things like e-learning, employee advocacy, which we've actually looked at a little bit earlier with Sociabble, well-being, task management, and shift swapping, which is a little bit unusual in the internet world, but is a bit more common amongst these mobile first solutions. And one feature we really liked was a roll call solution from LiveTiles. And this allows central teams to provide active information on critical or dangerous situations and prompt those in an effective area to say whether they are safe or not. And it's a quick and easy solution for what could be an upsetting event, which also includes good reporting and any auditing processes afterwards as well. So if there was a fire or if there was another emergency situation, example on the screen here is a typhoon, then this is a way for people to be able to mark that they're safe, and also for the system itself to provide updates on this particular situation and highlight its importance to people as individuals and also to the business overall. A second and less dramatic example is Workvivo's support of comms types beyond the written word, although still within the platform itself. So first of all, they offer a simple live streaming solution that ensures the audience is kept to those within the company, but it is high quality and rivals the experience of public-facing solutions that we've seen as well. And we can see this working really well for online town halls, and it provides a great way to reach a disparate workforce, whether at desks or deskless as well, because it works on the desk-based environment and also in the mobile environment. And the second example, again from Workvivo, is a podcast platform for internal or externally produced podcasts. Podcasts are a popular format, yet can feel challenging to manage. But Workvivo provides an easy way to store, share, and administer them from within a business tool, so you can make sure that your podcast audience is just internal. So those were all of the scenarios that we looked at and some of the example products that we've reviewed, and you can go and read those in more detail within our report. But your mind is probably whirring with all of the possibilities of what a mobile solution could provide. And so I'm going to take you through our product focused chart approach that can help you select a short list and then the final best option for your business. The product focused chart is like a wine chart. It doesn't show how well the product works in certain areas. Instead, it provides you with a flavour of the product. And by knowing which of the 4 areas you want to focus on, you can decide whether to read the product's review or skip it entirely. So here we go then. This is an example chart. And the chart is broken down into 4 categories that reflect a theme. They also reflect the areas that may face business challenges and ultimately, therefore, which product may appeal to which department. And the 4 categories are on screen. The first one is communications, and this primarily covers those internal news or messages from the business out to users, plus the ways that users can engage with those messages as well. HR and people is putting people at the heart of the app, so through employee engagement, happiness, and or people-related tasks such as training, onboarding, or performance management. Operational areas include things like practical activities such as shift swapping, employee services, or integrations with business tools, essentially giving the users the things that they need to get their jobs done. And those things are then probably provided by the app itself. So that's how we lean in the operations direction. Digital workplace is then connected, but this is where the app collates together a series of tools and or is the gateway into the digital side of the business. So it might be trying to replace an intranet or a similar tool, and it may include operational features, but the app acts as a facilitator for other systems and to keep the user in one place rather than it trying to send people out elsewhere. As I say, there is a little bit of crossover between some of the categories. So trying to improve employee engagement falls into communications and HR and people, for example, or swapping shifts may fall into operations as well as digital workplace. Where there is an integration or where the product is the only tool for workforce management, then that's probably where it's going to be digital workplace. but the bars is what helps. So the bars indicate how far the product is trying to achieve a focus in those categories. It's not about how good or bad the features are, however. So 0 is something where there are no features, the app just isn't trying to do anything in that area. Whereas the 3 it's a fully featured element of the app. This is the primary focus of the app, so that particular area is the primary focus, with features included to solve common problems in this area, and the product is likely to be on a long or short list for businesses with associated needs. And the marketing and presentation of the product reinforce that message as well. So it's not something that the vendors are just trying to tell us they have full features around. It's actually obviously and clearly marketed as part of their solution. So to give you a few more examples then, you can see from the from this particular page, how much Halo focuses on communication. So there is the timeline and news tab on the first image, and there's also a chat feature as well, social spaces, and a timeline approach in each space of the content areas as well. So you can see the accessibility is a content area, it's a space, it's a site, and they have a feed there to bring in that social aspect too. There are good engagement features as well, which encourage people to read news. And there's also good auto-translation tools so that people can read content in the language they're most comfortable with. Which you can see in that third example, that's in different languages. So those sorts of things come into the consideration about how an app is trying to help a business communicate with people, and also maybe how people are trying to communicate with other and back into the business as well. HR and people, the example we've got here is Oneteam, and it's unusual in this report because of its prominent focus on HR and people related features. And in this example, it includes an excellent micro-learning tool that takes people through quite chunky topics in small bites. Onboarding is an excellent example where you can see the variety of steps someone must complete to be onboarded into this business. Not only does Oneteam successfully step people through training, but it includes a nice gamification feature to encourage people to do more. It's fun for people to complete and remarkably easy for admins to build as well. So it's a really nice tool and very heavily geared towards that HR and people focus. Operations then. So there aren't any products that achieved a 3 in the operations field, but Workgrid does a good job of being a lightweight alternative to an intranet that I've chosen as an example here. And I've pulled out 3 features that show off some of the practical aspects of Workgrid, starting with tasks that can be set up by an individual or by their manager. And they're easy to search, browse, or complete, so it could help with shift handovers, for example, be really helpful there. There's a simple ideation tool which gathers and tracks suggestions, and we liked the people search that is not only effective, but allows you to save people for ease of contacting later. So those people you're in contact the most, if you don't want to save their details to your phone, you can access them really easily from within the people directory. MangoApps is another example of a product we reviewed that would work well as an intranet solution as well as a mobile-first solution. As such, it has a focus on being a digital workplace hub, bringing disparate tools together so people don't have to go searching. It can act as a searchable document library with inbuilt governance rules, or surface content stored in external libraries such as SharePoint as well. Out of the box, there are connectors with about 50 business systems with an API, which means that even more can be brought through if you want to do the development work. One example that we liked is shift scheduling, such as Kronos, that can be displayed and interacted with inside MangoApps. So it will have that similar look and feel to the rest of the app, but is actually a user using Kronos or another similar system like Quinix in the background. So I've taken you through how we formed our report and some of the best examples that we found. And I wanted to end with an overview of what we found throughout the whole process and just an observation of the industry as a whole. So first of all, our highlights then. So the user experience is more consumer-light. On the whole, we were struck by how smooth and contemporary this group of products behaved. While we would expect any digital employee tool to work effectively, many of these apps reflected the kind of experience we have as consumers, such as when we use social media tools. This is vitally important, as many frontline workers will make comparisons to their favourite consumer-oriented apps when judging whether they want to use an employee app or not. Communicating news is effective no matter where the audience is. Internal communicators will find a lot to like among these products that we've reviewed, including simple but effective comms calendars, good audience targeting tools, and really nice article building features. Of particular note is those tools' flexibility with reaching audiences, not only those who use the app, but those outside of the ecosystem tool. For example, into Slack or Microsoft Teams channels, digital signage, and into social media communities as well. This group of tools therefore often meet the needs of communicators who have a multi-channel strategy to cater for, although note that most of the best features are still found in the desktop experience. Sharing personalized content works well. Following on from the previous point, audience targeting of communications and other content works very well. What is impressive, however, is that these apps surface personalized information and activities from integrated solutions. Payslips is a good example, where some of these tools provide secure areas to store pay information that's visible on demand by the user. Some have then taken this a step further, providing a way to share sensitive content securely. For example, we've seen some nice examples of biometrics being necessary to open sensitive content, such as when it is for senior managers' eyes only, for example. Practical tools reflect the needs of the frontline. The vendors that we've included in the report understand the frontline, their needs and their restrictions very well. As such, many apps focus on a handful of features that can address frontline needs, such as bite-sized e-learning or submitting health and safety forms. These features are often simple to create and complete, while also integrating into relevant third-party systems. This means end users won't know that they're technically using another tool when they fill in a form, which contributes to the coherent user experience. We particularly like the deep linking that we've seen, where one of these applications will open another application within itself. This means that people will only need to download one company app, while still gaining access to all business systems integrated in this way. And lastly, social features reflect the need to build communities. Arguably, social or two-way communication are among the most important needs to be addressed by this class of tool. This might be to build communities of practice, where the tacit knowledge of experienced workers is shared with those with less experience, or it could be used for social spaces to reflect the different groups of people employed by a business, such as in an LGBTQ+ community. These apps provide a range of features to encourage activities such as gamification, as well as moderation tools for those who might be nervous about unleashing a torrent of comments. Although every app is different and they approach features in different ways, there are some gaps that could be filled more consistently. So first of all, switching off. In some of these apps, people can control what notifications they receive or switch them off entirely. However, this places the responsibility on the individual when the tool could offer some support. Some apps allow users to set do not disturb times, or even place control in the hands of admins to block content arriving outside of working hours. The best even tie into shift management tools to schedule quiet times. However, we feel that there's more that vendors could do to develop their tools to allow people to switch off from their apps. Analytics could be better. So there are some excellent examples of analytics amongst the products that we've reviewed. I've mentioned Staffbase, but First Up is another one. However, overall, we feel there could be improvements made. Often vendors say that the needs of customers vary, or there are integrations with other solutions so people can build the reporting that they need. However, we feel that there is a baseline of reporting that could be developed to a good standard that individuals can use as a stepping stone to evolve from. The approach to search and reference material could be improved. So many of the apps that we've reviewed offer a lighter and leaner approach to content. Even those that are based on intranet technology offer a slimmed down approach to their product on mobile. Sometimes this comes at the expense of a good solution-wide search, and reference material can end up being harder to find and read. The development of a strong app-wide search would provide a good first step without making a simple solution more complex. And if people can't find what they want, they will give up on the app altogether or end up using it less for self-service. It would be easier to ask a manager instead. So it's important for those things to be addressed. Managing the spread of outdated content would be helpful. So linked to the previous point about search, the development of stronger governance and lifecycle management tools would be beneficial. So these last 2 points in one. Administrators would have something to support them when they manage the potential sprawl of the app architecture and associated content, while end users would see the benefit of reduced and more accurate search results as well. It's really the management side of things that are missing in this group of products that we've seen, whereas the end user features definitely are stronger and very comprehensive in places as well. That is the end of what I had to share with you. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.